We start this evening with world news. President Donald Trump is reportedly weighing a series of potential military options in Iran. Recent violence in Iran has led to dozens of deaths and arrests. Two U.S. officials say Trump has been briefed on a number of different plans for U.S. intervention. The officials say several options presented to the president have centered on targeting Tehran's security services that are being used to tamp down on the protests. Trump is also reportedly considering a number of options intended to target Iran's regime that stop short of military strikes. More formal briefings are expected in the coming week, and that includes a meeting Tuesday with senior national security officials to discuss how to proceed. Now back here at home, I'm joined here with meteorologist Simone Thomas. Let's take a look at weather. Simone, what can we expect for the rest of the night as folks gear up for the week ahead?
We've got a cold night ahead of us, Jurnee, thanks to some high pressure that's starting to move into the state right now, kind of knocking on the door of that Oklahoma-Arkansas border. But through the evening, that high pressure is going to close in, helping calm wind speeds. And the lack of clouds that we've been seeing today is going to help us lose all the heat we were able to accumulate this afternoon. Currently, now that we're past sunset, temperatures are sitting in the 40s, some low 50s off to our northwest, but through the evening expecting to fall to the lower 30s and even some upper 20s. You see that calm wind we're tracking through the rest of the evening, but this is how we're expected to wake up tomorrow morning. Everybody with a below freezing start to the week, so you'll definitely want to bundle up. We'll talk more about what you can expect for the rest of your Monday and the week ahead in your 7-day outlook.
All right, Simone, thank you. Well, 5 people are recovering from their injuries after a mountain home bus crash. According to state police, the incident happened yesterday afternoon in Madison County. The bus collided with a Mini Cooper at the intersection of State Highway 45 and U.S. Highway 412. Authorities say that there were at least 16 students on board traveling from an event earlier in the day. 3 children on the bus and 2 adults in the Mini Cooper were taken to a local hospital. An investigation is underway. Last week, THV 11 told you about a 150-year-old church in Lonoke that lost its historic worship sanctuary to a massive fire. Today, we caught back up with the Bethlehem United Methodist Church as they met for the first time since that tragic loss. The church met in the fellowship hall, which firefighters were able to save. And as you can imagine, it was an emotional service.
It's our turn now to be that generation that builds it for generations to come, to continue to have that bond with each other.
We lost everything. It was a total loss. So we've been blessed. We had a good crowd this morning, and God's good to us.
United received donations from churches across the area for many things like pews and hymnals to allow them to worship today. THV 11's Carter Thweet will have the full story tonight at 10. An investigation continues into a man accused of shooting and killing 6 people, including a 7-year-old child in Mississippi. Family members are now speaking out after the incident. Kamari Hamer has more.
When they first told me, I just couldn't believe it.
When they said it was my brother, I was really shocked about it. Didn't want to believe that he had got killed.
Kimberly Moore and Versie Jennings are still in shock after hearing the news about the death of their family members and the identity of the suspect. Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott tells WCBI 24-year-old Dorica Moore shot and killed 67-year-old Glenn Moore, 55-year-old Willie Gins, 33-year-old Quentin Moore at this home on David Hill Road. All 3 victims were related to the shooter. Moore then allegedly stole a Ford F-150 that belonged to Quentin Moore. It is believed that the shooter then traveled to Blake Road and forced his way into this home and attempted to sexually assault someone. While he was there, Moore reportedly shot and killed a 7-year-old girl who was also his second cousin.
It really is a sad situation. I really don't know what the causing of this. We all just need prayer at this time.
The killing continued. Clay County investigators say Moore left in the stolen truck and drove to this home on Salome Griffith Road. Deputies found the stolen truck behind the home, signs of forced entry, and the bodies of Barry and Samuel Bradley.
We all lift our hearts in prayer for the victims and families. Again, this is really shaking our community. And for me, you know, almost 30 years in this is one of the toughest ones we had to work.
The suspect had no prior history with law enforcement, and at this time, there's no clear motive behind the crime spree.
Mental illness, that's something serious that we as a family should take, you know, try to check on our people because, like I said, we really don't know what happened and what the situation is, but it was just a family dispute and we asking for prayer.
Moore is being charged with first-degree murder. That charge is expected to be upgraded to capital murder. More charges are also expected to come.
A suspect in police custody after being accused of arson to a historic Mississippi synagogue. Authorities say the fire impacted Beth Israel in Jackson after 3 a.m. yesterday morning. No one was hurt in the arson. However, this is the state's largest synagogue and was the site of a KKK bombing back in 1967. That bombing happened in response to its response in civil rights activities. An investigation is open and active. Many in Minnesota remain on edge with continued protests after the ICE shooting death of Renee Good, with many trying to brace for what's next with immigration arrests expected to be its largest enforcement operation. Protesters screamed at heavily armed federal agents and honked car horns, banged on drums, and even blew whistles in attempts to disrupt their operations in one Minneapolis neighborhood filled with single-family homes. There was some pushing and several people were sprayed with chemical spray just before agents forced entry on one home on Sunday. They later took one man away in handcuffs and a woman came out of the home who said the man in handcuffs was her husband. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is sharing her thoughts.
It is really important for Americans to record, to create the level of accountability and transparency that we need. What we have seen in Minneapolis is ICE agents oftentimes jumping out of their cars. These are unmarked cars. Oftentimes they're wearing a mask.
Well, along with the Congresswoman, President Donald Trump is sharing his thoughts as well.
But there was a woman screaming, shame, 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 shame. She was a agitator, probably a paid agitator, but in my opinion, she was an agitator, a very high-level agitator.
All right, well, moving on to another story where Buddhist monks are walking for peace. Their act taking place along country roads and highways in the South. They started this practice back in October at a Vietnamese temple in Texas, trekking at least 2,300 miles by foot. It's set to continue through February, ending in Washington, D.C. They plan to have Congress recognize Buddha's birthday and enlightenment for a federal holiday.